So you're thinking about switching to 5-string bass, or you got yourself one for Christmas and you don't know where to start. Well, in this video, I'm going to share some things with you to make that transition nice and smooth. First things first, I want you to think about this. If you are thinking about getting a 5-string bass, I really want you to think about why you even want or need that. Here's the thing. Always go back to the source. What are you listening to? What do you like? What do you want to do? If you are listening to classic styles like Motown, early 70s funk, most of that stuff, most if not all of that stuff does not use a 5-string bass. That might not be the thing that you need. I switched over to 5-string bass in 2007. I was playing a lot of gospel music at the time. I was also doing a lot of like function gigs, pickup gigs where changing keys on the fly and those different types of things. The 5-string bass was like that low B was like an insurance policy. It was better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So if you're playing classic stuff, you might not even need a 5-string. If you're playing more modern music, more modern pop, gospel, neo soul, jazz, things like that, cool, then let's continue. If we haven't met yet, my name is Ted and I talk bass. So as I mentioned before, I started playing 5-string bass back in 2007. My first one was a Lakeland 5501. And I'll be right out of the gate honest with you. I did not give the 5th string much thought. I just didn't. I just thought about it as another string. Okay. So the first tip that I would give you is to don't get so weirded out about that extra string. It is just a string. Now, having said that, we want to recognize it as a string and not as a thumb rest. So let's take a look at, we're going to get to muting in just a second because I know that's a big question for folks. First things first, let's look at the lowest point of this instrument, the lowest fretted point. So our lowest string is going to be our B, right? But our lowest fretted note is C. That's going to be the basis of what we look at right now. What I suggest is that you start incorporating that string as much as possible. If you got it, use it. Get comfortable with it. So typically the first major scale shape we learn. Look at my right hand. This is why I'm not making a separate video or spending a lot of time talking about muting, because I think that you need to do things and think of them as compound movement. So here's that. Look at my thumb. My thumb right now is on the E string, and it's also pressed against the B string. So you're getting 2 for the price of 1. You see the scale shape, and you also see me use this floating thumb technique. That's the first major scale shape that most people learn. All right. Now, that's only 3 strings. I got 2 strings left. Certainly there must be notes from that scale in those on those other strings, right? So we got B, A, G. Look at my thumb. Look what happens to my thumb. F, E, D, C. Now we see the scale, the length or the depth of the neck. So when I talk about depth, I'm talking about, this way. When I talk about length, I'm talking about this way. Okay? Now, I want you to remember this shape. Okay? Since that's the first thing that we learn, I want you to remember that. Also, this bass is 35 inches long. Some of my other basses are like 34.5 or 34 inch. Size does matter when it comes to this. I'm only 5'7", don't have particularly large hands. So, what I'm seeing now, I'm seeing a 3-note per string scale shape. Look at that thumb. But watch this. Why I mentioned that was because I'm not trying to do this. There's no benefit in me doing that. Okay, I'm not trying to stretch my hands out. I did play upright for a time, so I can, but that's not my goal. My hand is moving. Now you see, I want you to keep observing the thumb, what happens with the thumb. You should be able to do all your muting without anything on your neck. I mean, listen, you have to be able to mute without any gadgets. Now, there are 7 notes in the scale, so there must be 7 different positions, right? And I'm going to go through these rather quickly, but, you know, you can rewind the video. There's C. There's the first note of the scale. Here's the second note of the scale, which is D. Now, remember, I want you to remember that shape. I'll show you why in a second. I went back to the root so that my ear gets, you know, acclimated to where that root is. But now watch this. When I come here, I see that scale shape starting from the major scale shape starting from the first finger. The lower octave of that is here. See that? That's one instance of a shape repeating. Now, I'm going to go to the third note of the scale. Where have I seen that before? You see this? You see it repeating? You see these shapes repeating different places on the neck. But in this, you should still be observing the right hand. The thumb moves. Okay, now we're going to go to the next note of the scale. 3 notes per string. Watch this. Remember I told you to remember that shape from earlier? Look at it. Okay, now let's go to the next note of the scale. Look at that. Where have we seen this before? Now I'm teasing you a little bit there, but trust me, my hand is moving. Okay, so here's the 6th note of the scale. Look at this. There's the major scale starting from the pinky. We've seen that already. So that's the scale degree. Here would be the 7th scale degree. So we've now seen the scale. If I take my first finger and I go there's that C major scale on one string. Now, that's C major. I'm looking at this from the lowest note of that scale, not, okay, I know my scale and now I'm done. All right? I'm looking at it from the lowest note in that scale. And technically, the lowest fretted note, I should say that, because technically, I would play that B. But that would be position 1, position 2, position 3, 4, and so on of that scale. Now it would be your work, your homework, to do that with other scales. For instance, let's go circle of fourths. The next key in the circle of fourths would be the key of F. Well, there's F major there. There's F major there. But there's F major there. So that would be, if we were sticking 3 notes per string, E is the 7th note of F. F major with the first finger. So now I don't want this video to be super long, and that's a lot of information, but what you got out of that was you saw me playing the entire depth of the instrument, learning from the bottom, incorporating that string. We can talk about grooves in another video, but you also saw the muting techniques in the right hand. When you're learning something, I think that you have to make them compound movements. It's not always good to isolate everything. If you have any questions about this, leave me some comments below. Are you struggling with 5-string? Do you want more 5-string comments? Do you want more 5-string content? Let me know in the comments below. Listen, I think you ought to go watch one of those playlists over there. There's some good stuff. I appreciate having you here. Smash that like button and that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next video. Groove first, groove hard, groove always. Peace. 2 fingers.